What's up, everyone? Some of you who've been following me for a while know that I have a OnePlus 7T, and that's actually currently the top performing video on my channel, but I haven't been able to upgrade it to Android 11. I bought it from B&H Photo, and it was supposed to be an unlocked model, which is technically the truth, but it is a T-Mobile version of the phone, which is the HD 1907. And I've had a ton of problems trying to upgrade this phone to Lineage OS 18.1, which is based on Android 11. As I've gone around the internet and lurked a bit on XDA forums, I found a thread that will help those users who have T-Mobile or unlocked T-Mobile versions of their phone to switch to global firmware. And actually reading through this thread, it is exactly as simple as flashing the firmware. That is, if you don't have the T-Mobile locked version. And this doesn't work for some of the sub-carriers for T-Mobile, but it does work for T-Mobile with some extra steps, which are in this thread right here. I will leave this link in the description for you, for if you have a T-Mobile version. I don't have the T-Mobile version that requires that I go through the whole unlocking from the carrier network issue. But I do have a phone that is locked that requires a binary file to actually unlock the phone. And we're not going to go over how to unlock the bootloader on the phone. You will need your phone to be unlocked with a bootloader, and I'll leave a tag right here in the top. But even if you have an unlocked bootloader, if you've already upgraded to Android 11, you have to actually downgrade to Android 10 to carry out this process. And the owner of this thread specified that he did this with OnePlus's Oxygen OS 10.0.7, and that's somewhere in this thread. Let's take a look really quick. Yeah, it's right up here at the top. Requirements: ADB setup. So if you're on Windows, you need the ADB folder. You need to know how to run that, which is basically you go to the ADB directory, and then you go to, in this case, he recommends running command prompt with admin privileges, which you would just hit the super key or the Windows key and then type in CMD and then right click and then run command line as administrator. He does say that PowerShell might work. Some people have commented that PowerShell works a little bit better than command line on some of my videos, but I've had issues with PowerShell not working at all where command prompt actually does work in Windows. I'm of course using Linux as usual. So ADB utilities are already installed in my computer. You will need to do that in Windows and likely add them to your environmental variables. Or of course, if you are in a directory, you can actually usually run it from that directory. So say if this was my ADB folder right here, and then I would type CMD at the top. I don't know how to do that with the admin rights though, so that's kind of a challenge. You'll probably want to navigate to your ADB directory and then dump all of your files in here, which you can see I've already done. And this is one of the other things that he talks about is you have to visit Moro Nofrio's thread. We've heard that name before on this channel because this person is a high producer involved with many projects across all of the Android ecosystem. He specifies here that this does not work on branded phones. Apparently, according to this thread, it does though. You could just go ahead and flash this right to your T-Mobile version of the phone. And then he goes into root. I actually prefer not to root my phones. They tend to run a little bit less stable when I have them rooted. But we're going to go ahead and convert this phone over to the global firmware. And now we can get into the actual instructions. This author says either follow the rules via T-Mobile, you have to pay off the phone for 40 days, or buy it off, make sure to wait a couple days, and then you can unlock using the T-Mobile app. And then you will get your phone into a state like this one is, where it's technically unlocked, even though it still shows T-Mobile when you boot up your phone. Now he has all of these other settings as far as getting OEM unlocking. As I already specified, this phone is OEM unlocked, and I left a card earlier in the video for the video on unlocking this phone. Just be sure to check out the commands in the description for specifics on this particular device, and then request the binary. Now he's recommending navigating to the ADB folder. This is mainly a Windows specific thing where you would want to drop all of the files that you see here into your ADB folder. It just makes it a lot easier because you don't have to add ADB to your environmental variables in Windows. Again, I don't have to worry about that because ADB and fastboot tools are already installed on my Linux system, and they're always the most up to date. I'll leave a link in the description on where to get the latest ADB and fastboot tools for Windows as of time of my posting of this video. And then he goes through the unlocking process. These are the specific commands that you need to run, which you need this binary code from OnePlus before it'll work. Now, for the global firmware, you need global firmware that is as up to date or more up to date than your device. In my case, I rolled this phone back to 10.0.9, and that is the document or the file that I have extracted in this folder right in front of you right now. You'll need to open command line with admin rights, as I already described. And for Windows, you'll be able to do flash all.bat. In my case, I'm going to need to reference Moreno Frio's thread and flash all of the items per his description here. First, though, I need to get into the bootloader. In this case, I did unlock the bootloader, but I'm not in it right now. So I've already rebooted and logged back in. All of these processes, by the way, will wipe your phone, so make sure that you're doing this on a device that is completely backed up. And this could actually destroy your device, so remember to do this only if you know what you're doing. It's a pretty serious undertaking to do any of this stuff, but most mistakes are recoverable, and I do have a video on the MSM tool that is already linked earlier in the video that will help you recover if you do make mistakes. Just keep in mind, I understand that I may be destroying this particular device right here. It's kind of like taking financial advice from other people on the internet. Don't do it. So we need to get into the bootloader, and to get USB debugging enabled, you just go to Settings, and then down to the bottom, About Phone, and then hit the build number 7 times. Now go back, go to System, go to Developer Options. You can see I already enabled USB or OEM unlocking, and now I can hit USB debugging. I should get a command prompt. Okay, it didn't come up. So we're going to need to force it to come up. Assuming you have your command prompt open in the folder that you're looking at right here in Windows with ADB tools unzipped in that folder, it'll look something like this. And I don't want to type sudo for all of my commands. In Linux, this is a requirement. You need to hit sudo. So I'm going to do sudo su. And now I am logged in as root. To get the phone to reboot, I'm going to type in adb reboot bootloader. And the phone should ask me if I want this device to control my phone. I'll just click always and click allow. And then rerun that command. And then I'll clear this prompt so that it looks nice and clean. If you're in Windows, this part should be taken care of with the flash all, but in my case, I'm going to have to run these commands individually. I think he has instructions. I think Moreno Frio included his instructions probably on flashall.bat because it's a batch script for Windows, and that is outlined right here. In my case, I'm going to put this in as accelerated speed, and that way you don't have to watch me run each command as we go through the process. All right. Everything looks like it worked just fine. I got all OKs throughout that entire process. Keep in mind, before I post any of these videos, I do check to make sure that the MD5 or SHA codes check out so that these websites where I'm pulling these files from don't include any spooky stuff, basically. No one's been tampering with the files, so the probability of having a virus or a government backdoor in most of the software should be relatively low. This whole process of flashing global firmware, one of the really cool things about it is it actually does allow you to install dual SIM. You will need a dual SIM tray, but from what I was reading on the XDA forums, a lot of people were using this just to go to stock Android with Google's and Gap's pre-installed, just the Oxygen OS for the OnePlus 7T, and run with two SIMs so they can have two separate phone numbers, one for personal, one for business, something along those lines. I may take advantage of that. I'm thinking really hard about it, actually, once I install a different ROM on this device. I really like this phone. It's really quick. It's got a beautiful screen, 90 hertz refresh rate. There's a lot to love about it. Just with the T-Mobile firmware, there's just some issues with it not picking up the SIM card with custom ROMs installed. First boot always takes a while, so if it continues, then I'm going to cut this part of the video out. Okay, it looks like it's loading. And the phone is ready to go, it looks like. If you have any questions about this process, please let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for stopping by. This is Nick, signing out.